At the beginning of the drama, we see Gong, who is drawing a picture of a girl. Then his nephew Chan comes and asks him, "Who is this?" Gong says, "I do not know her well, but I want to know her." Here he tells Chan, "I saw her for the first time on a bridge. She was making a rabbit with her hands. At that time, I liked her very much. Then, once I was traveling by bus, I saw her. She was wearing 2 different colored shoes. After that, I saw her once on the road. She was walking while reading a music book. Then, a lady splashed water on her and she was completely drenched." Hearing this, Chan asks him, "What is that girl's name?" Gong says, "I do not know her name." The next day when Gong is going to school, he hears a friend of that girl calling out the name Sumi. So he feels, this girl's name is Sumi. Then, at night, Gong again sees that girl standing on the bridge. This time, the girl is wearing gym clothes on which the name Sumi is written. Seeing this, Gong becomes confirmed, "My crush's name is Sumi." Then he comes home and feels very happy thinking about her. The next day, that girl is walking happily while looking at her music notebook. On the way, she is about to collide with something and fall when her friend Sumi comes and saves her. Here, we find out that this girl's name is Seori, and last night she was wearing her friend's gym clothes, which had her friend's name Sumi written on them. For this reason, Gong thought her name was Sumi, but in reality her name is Seori. Sumi says to her, "Yesterday, you took my gym clothes with you." Seori says, "Yes, I have brought them." When she looks in her bag, those clothes are not there. Seeing this, Seori says, "I think I left them at home. I will bring them tomorrow." Sumi says, "Fine." Then they both move forward. At that moment, a boy named Tae comes and proposes to Seori and says, "I know you are going to Germany for a violin competition. I will also go with you. There are only 2 months left, so until then, I will learn the German language properly." He is saying this when his teacher arrives there and scolds him, saying, "First, learn the Korean language. This time, you have scored only 4 marks in it." Then he takes Tai away while scolding him. Seeing all this, Sumi and Seo-ri laugh. But even while leaving, Tai keeps saying, "I love you, and one day, I will marry only you." Then, Gong is sitting somewhere with Chan. Suddenly, he sees an old lady trying to catch a bus. Gong helps her, stops the bus, and seats the old lady in the bus. Then, Chan sees Seo-ri there and says to Gong, "Look there, it is the girl from the painting." Gong looks in that direction and sees a lady is about to splash water on Seo-ri. So he calls out the name, "Sumi." Hearing the name, Sumi, Seo-ri feels Sumi is here. So she turns back and is saved from getting drenched. Seeing her turn back, Gong hides behind a pillar. Then, hearing this, Gong immediately gathers courage, goes to Seo-ri, and says to her, "Do not get off at this stop. Get off at the next stop. From there, the gallery will be closer for you." Hearing this, Seo-ri says, "Fine." Then Gong says to her, "I want to give you something." Then he is taking out the painting when, in the meantime, Sumi arrives there and asks Seo-ri, "Who is this?" Hearing Sumi's voice, Gong gets nervous and immediately gets off the bus. After getting off the bus, Gong thinks, "Why did I get scared of her friend? I am such a big fool who missed such a great chance." Then he sees that a keychain is stuck to his bag, which had come off Seo-ri's bag and got attached to his. Gong removes that keychain and then runs behind the bus to give it to Seo-ri. At one place on the way, Gong takes a shortcut so that he can get ahead of the bus. When he crosses that shortcut path and comes forward, he sees the bus has met with an accident. Seeing this, Gong does not understand anything and freezes right there. He feels, whatever has happened to Seo-ri, it happened because of me. If I had let her get off at the previous bus stop, this would not have happened to Seo-ri. Then, all the patients are taken to the hospital. Gong is also going towards the hospital when he sees news playing on a TV on the way, in which they are saying, there are 2 people who died in the bus accident, including 17-year-old Sumi and another 40-year-old man. Now, because Gong is considering Seo-ri to be Sumi, he breaks down hearing Sumi's name. He feels, all this has happened because of me. If I had let Sumi get off at the previous stop, this would not have happened to Sumi. Thinking all this, he starts holding himself responsible for Sumi's death. On the other side, we see that Seo-ri's life is saved, but she goes into a coma. However, Sumi dies on the spot. Then, we are shown a scene 13 years later, where some people come to a forest for camping. There, they get scared seeing Gong because his hair is very long and he is looking very strange. Then Gong returns home and he has a dog. Actually, this dog once belonged to Seo-ri, but now it is with Gong. On the other side, we see Seo-ri, who has been in a coma for 13 years and is admitted to the hospital. After the death of Seo-ri's parents, she was living with her uncle and aunt, but now they have also left her and gone away. There, Tai has now become a doctor, and he is telling his colleague, "I am going for volunteer work abroad." After this, he comes to Seo-ri's hospital and watches her secretly. When a nurse comes there, he sees her and runs away. Actually, Tai has been taking care of Seori secretly for the past several years. The next day, Seori regains consciousness and says, "My accident happened yesterday. My uncle and aunt must be worried about me." Thinking this, she tries to get up, but is unable to. Then, nurses come there and are happy to see her conscious. They tell her, "Your accident happened 13 years ago, and you were in a coma for 13 years. Hearing this, Seori looks at herself in the mirror and is stunned. Then, the nurse says to her, "You were in a coma for 13 years. Therefore, now your treatment will be done so that you can start walking and moving properly again." Then Seori asks them about her uncle and aunt, so they do not tell her anything about this. They avoid the topic and tell her, "Take some rest," and leave from there. Actually, the nurses do not tell Seori anything because they feel this will cause Seori much grief and it might affect her health. After they leave, Seori starts crying, remembering the past. Here, Gong is sleeping when he gets a call from his boss who says to him, "You have been on vacation for the last 6 months. If you keep doing this, I will fire you from the job. Therefore, you return quickly." Gong says, "Fine." Hearing this, she cuts the call. Then, Gong starts sleeping again when he gets a call from his sister. Seeing his condition, she says, "What state have you made of yourself?" On this matter, Gong's sister first scolds him and then tells him, "I am going abroad for some time for work with my husband. Therefore, I want you to come home and take care of Chan. And for this work, I have also hired a maid who will take care of both of you." Hearing this, Gong says, "I do not need a maid." But his sister does not listen to him and tells him, "Come back quickly," and cuts the call. After this, Gong says to his dog, "Come on, yeah, let's go back." Here, Gong still has that same painting of Seori. Looking at that painting, Gong misses Seori. There, Chan is practicing boating with his school friends. After finishing the practice, the coach says to all the students, "A competition is going to happen very soon, and I am fully confident that you people will win this competition and come back." Hearing the coach's words, the students say, "Yes, we will definitely win." Then, Chan gets a call from his mom who tells him, "I'm going out of the country for work with your dad. Therefore, I have called your uncle Gong here to take care of you." Hearing Gong's name, Chan becomes happy because he was missing Gong very much. There, Seori's training begins, and during the training, Seori also cooperates fully with the nurses. During the training, Seori looks at herself in the mirror. Seeing this, she becomes sad and thinks, "Where have 13 years of my life suddenly disappeared?" Then Seori asks the nurse about her uncle and aunt, but the nurse still does not tell her anything and leaves from there. Then Gong returns to Seoul and he starts measuring things at the airport. Seeing this, the people there are quite surprised. Then, after measuring things, Gong leaves from there. Here, Seori is sleeping on her bed when the patient next to her comes and draws on her face. Seori wakes up and is surprised to see this. Just then, that patient's relative comes and takes her away. Then, Seori thinks of her uncle and aunt, that when her parents died, her uncle and aunt said, "We will always take care of you." Then, when she had her violin competition, her uncle and aunt had also come there and supported her a lot. Remembering all this, Seori starts crying. Then, the maid is going home when Gong also arrives there. He is also going home, but the maid feels he is following me, so she starts hitting him. Here, Seori is sitting outside when she sees the nurse coming, so she calls her to ask about her uncle and aunt, but the nurse sees her and runs away from there. Seeing this, Seori feels they are definitely hiding something from me. Then Seori comes inside the hospital and hears two people talking who were discussing going to the hospital near her house. Hearing this, Seori thinks, "This is a good chance and I should go with them." There, Gong is in pain and is applying a heat pack. Then the maid apologizes to him. She says, "I had misunderstood you. I thought there was a thief." Gong says, "It's okay," and then goes outside. Coming outside, he puts earphones in his ears because he does not like talking to anyone much. There, Seori comes by hiding in those people's car. When that car stops outside the hospital near her house, Seori quietly runs away from there. After coming a little forward when she sees her area, she is surprised because everything there has changed. Seeing all this, Seori thinks, "How will I find my house now?" Here, Gong is walking when he sees a bench on the way. He starts measuring it. At that time, a girl named Leary is sitting on the bench. When she sees Gong doing all this, she feels, "Gong is bothering me," so she starts hitting him. Just then, Seori arrives there, and seeing all this, she runs away from there. Gong is still getting beaten and, at the same time, is measuring the bench. Just then, Gong's boss arrives there and she stops that girl, saying, "It is not as you think." Gong is still measuring the bench. Seeing this, Leary gets angry and is going to hit Gong, and Gong's boss is trying to stop her. Just then, Gong finishes measuring the bench and quietly moves forward from there. Seeing this, both of them are surprised. Then, Gong is working when the boss comes there and gets very angry at him, saying, "When you measure things, tell people that you are a designer, and that's why you measure things. By doing this, people will not misunderstand you." Then, she gives Gong a new project and says, "Start working on this from tomorrow. And yes, when you come to work tomorrow, come after cutting your hair. If you do not cut it, I will cut it." After this, Gong leaves from there. There, Seo-ri is exhausted from searching for her house. Then she sees her house at one place, and seeing it, she becomes very happy and says, "Thank goodness, my house is still the same. It hasn't changed." Then she rings the bell and the maid opens the door for her. She thinks she is a member of this house. She thinks, "I have to take care of her besides Gong." Then Seo-ri says to the maid, "Hello," and the maid brings her inside the house. As soon as she enters the house, Seo-ri finds her dog. The dog recognizes Seo-ri and immediately comes to her. Seeing this, Seo-ri is happy and says, "Thank goodness you recognized me." Then the maid brings juice for her and sees that Seo-ri has fallen asleep right there due to fatigue. So the maid carries her and takes her to the room. Here the maid is reacting as if she were a robot. Then Chan is coming while joking with his friends. Then he sees that due to the cycles falling, a chick is about to get hit, so Chan saves it. Then he says to his friends, "From today, I will raise it." Here, Gong comes home and the maid tells him, "Your niece has arrived. She was sleeping, so I took her upstairs." Hearing her words, Gong feels she is talking about my nephew, Chan. Gong asks the maid, "How did you take him upstairs?" The maid says, "I picked him up and took him upstairs." Hearing this, Gong is surprised. Then he goes to his room to meet Chan, but at that time, Seo-ri is sleeping in Chan's room. Just then, Chan also comes home. He knows the password of the house, so he enters by using the password. At that time, the maid is busy with some work, so she is unable to see him. So, Chan goes straight towards his room. Then, the maid arrives. Gong asks the maid, "Who is this? And what is she doing here?" The maid says, "She is your niece." Gong says, "She is not my niece. My nephew is Chan." Then Chan's two friends also arrive there, and they are surprised to see all this. Then everyone is sitting together where Gong tells Seo-ri, "My dad bought this house 11 years ago. Therefore, now this house belongs to us." Hearing this, Seo-ri is surprised and says, "But how did my dog come to you?" So Gong tells her, "The old owners left it here and went away. Since then, this dog has been with us." After this, Seo-ri asks them about her uncle and aunt. So they say, "We do not know anything about them." Then Chan says, "Maybe my grandfather knows something about them. I will call him and ask." Then he calls the grandfather and asks about this, but even he does not know anything. Hearing this, Seo-ri becomes upset and says, "Now how will I find them?" Then Gong says, "Now this house is ours, so you leave from here. And if you want to find them, you should take the help of the police." Hearing this, Seo-ri says, "Fine," and then leaves from there. Then Seo-ri goes to find out about her uncle's company, and there she finds out that company has been closed long ago. After this, Seo-ri goes to the police station and asks the police officers, "Please help me find my uncle and aunt," but she does not get any help from there either. Then she is standing in the market and looking at herself in a mirror. She becomes sad and thinks, "What has happened to me?" Then Seo-ri is moving forward when a drunk man catches her hand and tries to take her with him. Then Seo-ri frees her hand from him and runs away from there. Then she goes a little further and a man is coming behind her. Seo-ri feels he is following me. When that man puts his hand in his pocket to take something out, Seo-ri feels he is going to take out a knife. Seeing this, she screams and then runs away from there. Seeing this, that man is surprised. Then he takes a hot dog out of his pocket and starts eating it. Here, the dog is sitting in front of the door and making strange sounds. Seeing him do this, Gong, Chan, and the maid are surprised. Why is he doing this? There, Seo-ri goes and sits inside a pipe, and sitting there, she starts crying while remembering her mom and dad, and then falls asleep right there while crying. The next morning, when she wakes up, she is surprised to find herself in the pipe. Then she comes out of the pipe and leaves from there. Here, when Gong comes after cutting his hair, the maid is unable to recognize him and is about to hit him. Then Gong tells her, "I am Gong." Hearing this, the maid is surprised and says, "How can someone change so much by cutting their hair?" Then Gong sees that his dog has not eaten anything since last night. So he calls and takes an appointment for his dog from the doctor. Then he takes the dog to the doctor, and the doctor says, "He has become very weak, so we will have to keep him with us for a few hours so that we can treat him properly." Gong says, "Fine, but please take care of him." There, Seo Rai comes to a place and sees a girl eating a hot dog. Seeing this, she also feels like eating, but she does not have money. In the meantime, a lady comes there and says to Seo Ri, "You are hungry, aren't you?" Seo Ri says, "Yes." The lady says, "Free food is being given there. You go there, and you will get food." Hearing this, Seo Ri goes there and stands in line, but by the time her turn comes, the food runs out. Seeing this, she becomes sad. Then, seeing her sad, a lady standing there gives her a choco bite to eat. Then, Seo Ri immediately goes to the washroom and sees her face, which is very dirty. Therefore, she first washes her face and then comes out, sits at a place, and is about to eat the choco bite. Just then, she sees that a banner has fallen there. Seeing this, she leaves the choco bite there on the bench and goes to pick up that banner. In the meantime, Gong arrives there and sits right on top of the choco bite and starts measuring the bench. When Seo Ri returns, she does not see her choco bite, so she starts looking for it here and there, but she does not find it. Then she asks Gong, "Have you seen my choco bite?" Gong says, "I have not seen it." Here, when Gong sees her face, he recognizes her, but Seo Ri is unable to recognize him because of his haircut. Then Gong stands up, and Seo Ri sees that the choco bite is stuck to his pants. Seeing this, Seo Ri starts crying and says, "You have ruined my entire choco bite. I needed it very much." Gong says, "I did not do this on purpose. Do not cry. I will give you money." Seo Ri says, "I do not want money. Buy me another choco bite." Gong says, "Fine." Then they both are going to get a choco bite. On the way, people are looking at Gong and talking, "He has pooped in his pants." Seo Ri tells him all this. "People are talking about you." Gong says, "I do not care about people's talk." Then when he moves forward, people are still talking, so Seo Ri takes off her coat and puts it on Gong and says, "It was looking very dirty. That's why I have put the coat on." Gong says, "Fine." Then Gong goes to get the choco bite. Then Seo Ri sees that a lady's money has fallen down, so she picks up that money and starts running behind that lady. Seeing this, Gong says to her, "At least take your choco bite." But Seo Ri is unable to hear his words. Then, at one place, Seo Ri returns that lady's money to her. The lady says, "Thank you" to Seo Ri and leaves from there. After running for so long, Seo Ri gets tired, so she sits right there. Then, Seo Ri goes to a tailor shop. This is the same shop from where Seo Ri used to get clothes stitched 13 years ago. She asks them also about her uncle and aunt. So she asks, "Do you know about my uncle and aunt?" But she does not get any information from there either. Here, Gong goes to have a meeting with someone. After the meeting finishes, that lady asks him, "Have dinner with me?" But Gong refuses and leaves from there. Then his boss arrives there and she says to that lady, "Come, let us both have dinner together." So that lady goes with her. Then we see Rin, who is a violinist. Her interview is going on where she is asked, "Who is your competitor?" Rin says, "I do not have any competition with anyone. I like playing the violin. That's why I do this work." Here, we are shown a flashback of Rin. Actually, Rin used to study with Seo Ri in the same school. Once, their violin competition happened in which Seo Ri won, so Rin did not like seeing this at all. Then at night, Seo Ri is sitting at a bus stop and looking at Rin's photo. Just then, Gong comes there with the dog. The dog sees Seo Ri, but Gong is unable to see her and leaves from there with the dog. After this, Seo Ri comes home. At that time, Chan is sitting downstairs. Seo Ri says to him, "My uncle must have left some things here, right? Can I see them once? It is possible that I might get some information from them." On this, Chan says, "Uncle Gong is at home. If he finds out, he will get angry." Seo Ri requests him, so Chan says, "You have only 3 minutes. You search. Until then, I will stop Uncle Gong upstairs." Seo Ri says, "Fine." Then Gong is coming downstairs, so Chan goes upstairs and tries to stop him, but is unable to stop him. Gong comes downstairs, so Chan also comes downstairs behind him. After coming downstairs, Chan looks for Seo Ri, but Seo Ri is not there. Seeing this, Chan feels Seo Ri has left from here. But Seo Ri has not left from there. She is in the secret room under the stairs, about which Gong and Chan do not know. After this, Gong is taking measurements to build a new house for the dog when Leary arrives there, who likes Chan and has come here to impress Gong. She sees Gong taking measurements and she remembers, "This is the same person whom I had beaten." Remembering this, she runs away from there without meeting Gong. Then at night, everyone is in their respective rooms. Then they hear some sound. When they come down and see, someone's hand comes out from the secret room under the stairs. Seeing this, Chan and Gong get scared and start screaming. Then Seo Ri comes out in such a way as if she were a ghost. Seeing this, they are getting even more scared, but the maid does not get scared. She turns on the light, and everyone is surprised to see Seori. Then Seori says to them, I am hungry. Please give me some food. Then they give her food. While Seori is eating food, Gong asks her about the secret room. He says, we did not know about this room at all. Seori says, my parents had this room built for me so that I could practice playing my violin here. Gong says, fine, and you leave from here after eating food. On this, Chan says, it is midnight. Where will she go now? She doesn't even have a home. Let her stay here until morning. Gong says, fine. And saying this, he leaves from there. Then Seori is sitting outside when Chan comes to her and asks, what is the matter? You haven't slept yet. Seori says, I was not feeling sleepy. That's why I am sitting here. Then Chan asks her about her family, so Seori tells everything about her family. My mom and dad loved me so much. The next morning, when Seori is leaving, the maid gives her grape juice and says, when you feel hungry, drink this. Then Chan comes to see Seori off outside. When they both are saying bye to each other, some people come to see the house. Seeing this, Seori is surprised and asks Gong, what is all this? Gong tells her, Dad cannot take care of this house, that's why he has decided to sell it. Hearing this, Seori becomes worried and says to Gong, how can you sell this house? You give me 1 month's time? I will find my uncle and buy this house. Do not sell it. Gong says, I cannot do anything in this. This is Dad's decision. Saying this, he leaves from there. Then those people also leave from there after seeing the house. So Seori runs behind them. Just then, the dog also starts running behind her, and he is about to have an accident, but Seori saves him. Gong and Chan get worried seeing this, and immediately come to Seori. Chan sees blood there, so he gets scared and asks Gong, call an ambulance immediately. But just then, Seori says, there is no need to call an ambulance. I am perfectly fine. And this was grape juice that the maid had given me. Then everyone is in the house. Chan says to Gong, please let Seori stay here. First, Gong refuses, but on Chan's repeated requests, he agrees and says Seori can stay here for 1 month, and if within this 1 month she can find her uncle and buy this house, then fine. Otherwise, this house will be sold to someone else. Then he gets a call from someone and he says to them, some problem has occurred. That's why we will not sell this house right now. Saying this, he leaves from there. After he leaves, Chan is happy because Gong has given permission for Seori to stay here. There, Tai returns after doing volunteer work, and then he goes to the hospital and asks about Seori. So he asks the nurse, where is Seori? So the nurse tells him, Seori has regained consciousness and she has run away from here. Knowing this, Tai comes to Gong's house to ask about Seori. He rings the bell. Hearing the sound of the bell, Seori and Chan go towards the door, but before that, Chan's friends meet Tai. Tai asks them, do you know about Seori? In front of them, Gong had turned Seori out of the house. Therefore, they say to Tai, this girl had come here, but now she has left from here. Tai says to them, if she comes here again, then definitely inform me. Chan's friends say, fine. Then when they come inside, they are surprised to see Seori. They say to Seori, someone was asking about you outside. He had come from the hospital. We told him that you are not here. Hearing the name of the hospital, Seori feels, I have run away from the hospital. That's why those people have come to catch me. She says to Chan's friends, please, never tell them about me. Chan's friends say, fine. But what are you doing here? You were turned out by Uncle Gong. On this, Chan says she doesn't have a place to stay. That's why Uncle Gong has given her permission to stay here for 1 month. Then, Gong is working in the office. We have Sayo Rai says, I have kept it here. Its leaves were getting ruined, and by keeping it in the sun, it will become fine. Gong says, remove it from here immediately. So Seori removes it from there immediately. Then when Gong goes outside, Seori is putting it back in the sun. Just then, Gong returns to take car keys, so seeing him, Seori puts it back in its place. But as soon as he leaves, Seori again puts it in the sun. Then Seori goes to a shop to get her violin repaired. So the shopkeeper tells her, it will be repaired, but it will cost $20,000. Hearing this, Seori takes the violin back and says, right now, I do not have this much money. I will come later. Then, after coming home, Seori takes Chan's laptop and takes out her resume on it. When Chan sees her resume, he asks Seori, why is it so empty? Seori says, just for some reason, it has remained empty. Then Gong comes home, so Seori starts talking to him, but Gong does not like her talking too much, so he scolds her and says, go away from here. Chan sees all this, so he feels bad for Seori. Then he comes to Seori and says, do not feel bad. Uncle Gong is just like this. Earlier, he was not like this. Then don't know what happened that he has become like this? There, Gong is lying on the bed, and here we are, shown a flashback. On the day the bus accident happened, when Gong came home, he was very scared. His mom and dad had also asked him what happened, but Gong had not talked to anyone. And since then, Gong is like this. He does not talk much to anyone. The next day, Seo-ri goes to several places for an interview for a violin teacher. She does not get any job anywhere. At one place, she is asked to play the violin. Seo-ri starts playing the violin there. But she is unable to play properly because she has not played the violin for the last 13 years. Therefore, she no longer has practice. Then she comes out after being rejected from there too. So, looking at her hands, she says to herself, what is the matter? Why was I not able to play the violin properly? It seems I haven't practiced for a long time. That's why it happened. But no matter. Oh, if I practice a little, everything will be fine. There, Tae is in the hospital. Then he finds out a patient has come to the hospital who is unconscious, and her age seems to be between 20 to 30 years. Hearing this, Tae feels that must be Seo-ri. Therefore, he comes running and sees her, but she is not Seo-ri. Seeing this, Tae moves back and sits down. There, Gong goes to a meeting with his boss and colleague. Rin is also there, who explains the work to them. Actually, a festival is going to happen where these people have been given the job of designing some things. Then Seo-ri is walking when she sees a notice for a job outside a shop, so she immediately goes inside to ask for a job. But these people also reject her because they need 20-year-old people for this work. At that time, Gong is there and he also sees all this. Then, Seo-ri is walking on the road sadly and at the same time thinking, if everything were fine, today I would have become a star. Thinking all this, she sits at a place sadly. Just then, Chan comes there and sees her. Then he goes to her and asks, what is the matter? Didn't you get a job? Seo-ri says, no. Chan says, those people must definitely be crazy who did not give you a job. Seo-ri says, it is not their fault. I do not have experience. If I were in their place, I also would not have hired people without experience. Chan asks, why don't you have any experience? On this, Seo-ri tells him, I had an accident 13 years ago, and I was in a coma for 13 years. Hearing this, Chan feels bad for her, so he says, do not worry. You will get a good job very soon. After this, he takes Seo-ri with him to feed her something so that her mood becomes good. Here, Gong comes home, so he collides with the plant, due to which he gets hurt in his leg. Then he is changing his shirt when someone comes to the door. So, Gong immediately comes down and looks in the camera. Outside, a delivery boy has come who says, it is your parcel. Gong says, I haven't ordered anything. Just then, Chan's friends arrive there and say, we have ordered this. Then they take the parcel and come inside and ask Gong about Chan. So Gong says, he has gone out. Then, sitting right there, they start eating those things, so they ask Gong to eat with them, but Gong refuses them and is going from there when he again collides with the plant. Then, Gong is sitting in the room and doing his work when Chan's friends keep coming and bothering him repeatedly. So, getting bothered by them, Gong locks the room. Then, after finishing the work, Gong is washing his face in the washroom when a friend of Chan comes there and says, I urgently need to use the washroom. Can I use this washroom? Gong says, fine, and immediately comes out from there. The next morning, everyone hears Seo-ri's screaming. Hearing this, everyone comes down and asks Seo-ri, what happened? So Seo-ri tells them, I gave an interview at a place yesterday. Their violin teacher has fallen ill, so they have called me for work until she returns. Hearing this, everyone is very happy for her and starts dancing. But Gong does not like all this, so he leaves from there. Then, at night, Gong comes down to get water, so he hears the voice of Seo-ri, who is practicing, and says, I must practice so that tomorrow my impression does not get ruined in front of everyone. The next morning, Seo-ri wakes up, and she is very happy. Just then, Chan comes there and says, all the best to her. Seo-ri says, I have to go at 4 o'clock in the evening and I am getting very nervous. Chan says, do not be nervous. Everything will be fine. Then Gong goes to make coffee in the kitchen. At that time, Seo-ri's phone is lying there. It rings, so Gong picks up her phone. Then that lady says to Gong, please tell Seo-ri, since you don't have experience, the parents have refused to send their children to you, so we cannot hire you. Therefore, you do not need to come here. Saying this, that lady cuts the call. Gong thinks, now how will I tell this to Seo-ri? Then he goes near Seo-ri's room to tell her, but just then Gong gets a call from his boss. So he immediately goes to the office. Then Gong is in the office, and there too he is worried, thinking about all this. How will I tell all this to Seo-ri? Gong thinks how happy Seo-ri was when she found out about the job. Then Seo-ri is going for work when Gong arrives there and offers her a lift. Then, on the way, Gong tries to tell her several times but is unable to. Then when Seo-ri gets off, Gong tries to tell her there, but the music there is playing very loudly. Therefore, Seo-ri does not understand anything, so Gong speaks by shouting. Just then, the sound of the music stops and everyone hears Gong's voice. When Seo-ri finds out about this, she becomes very sad. Then she sits at a place and starts crying and says, "Now how will I get my violin repaired?" Seeing this, Gong makes her understand. One day, everything will be fine. Then both of them come home, so Chan asks Seo-ri, "How was today?" Seo-ri says, "Some problem has occurred, that's why they have fired me." Hearing this, Chan is surprised. Then Seo-ri says, "I want to use the internet and find out a way to earn $20,000. Saying this, she leaves from there, so Chan also goes after her. After that, Gong is going from there when his eyes fall on the plant, so Gong sees that the plant has now become fine. Seeing this, Gong says, Seo-ri was right. By keeping it in the sun, it would become fine. The next day, Gong is calling the dog to take him to the doctor, but the dog does not come to him and stays only with Seo-ri. Just then, Chan arrives there and he says to Gong, "Today, the dog will not come to you, therefore you take Seo-ri along too." Hearing Chan's words, Gong does the same. He takes Seo-ri with him. Then, when they are returning after getting the dog's checkup done, on the way at a place, there is a red signal, so Gong stops the car. Just then, Seo-ri sees her uncle going, so she immediately gets out of the car and starts running on the road. Seeing this, Gong gets scared and remembers the childhood accident. Then he immediately comes out and stops Seo-ri from running on the road. Seo-ri tells him, "Let me go," but he does not let her go. Then when the signal is red again, he lets her go. Seo-ri goes forward and searches for her uncle, but she does not find him. So Seo-ri returns and gets very angry at Gong and says to him, "Why did you stop me? I could have met my uncle." Then Gong takes his car and leaves from there. After this, Gong is in the office, and here too, he is upset thinking about Seo-ri's words. Then Gong comes home, so Chan asks him about Seo-ri. Gong says, "I do not know where she is. She had gotten off on the way, but do not worry, she will come home soon." Saying this, Gong goes inside. Then Seo-ri comes home, so Chan asks her, "Where were you until now?" Seo-ri does not give any answer, so Chan asks her, "What is the matter? Why are you sad?" Seo-ri says, "Today I saw my uncle. If I had run fast, I could have met him." Hearing this, Chan says, "This means your uncle is in this city. Do not worry, you will find him very soon." Both of them are talking when Gong arrives there. Seeing him, Seo-ri gets angry and leaves from there in anger. After she leaves, Chan asks Gong, "What is the matter? Has something happened between you two?" Gong does not tell him anything and takes his coffee and leaves from there. Then Gong takes his luggage and is going to stay in the office, so Chan tries to stop him, but he does not stop and leaves from there. While leaving, he also meets Seo-ri, but he does not talk to him at all. The next day, Seo-ri writes many pamphlets for her uncle. "I am Seo-ri, living in the old house. You come to meet me." And then she pastes these pamphlets in many places. There, Gong is working when Chan calls him and asks him, "Please return home." But Gong does not listen to him. The next day, Seo-ri is again going to put up pamphlets when she again sees her uncle on the way. So she runs after him and catches him, but when he turns back, he is someone else. Seeing this, Seo-ri says sorry to him and says, "I thought you were my uncle." After this, she remembers that day's incident. Then she realizes, Gong was not wrong. If he had not stopped me that day, I could have had an accident. Thinking all this, she becomes worried and thinks, "Well, how will I apologize to him now?" Then Seo-ri comes home thinking all this. What will I do now? Just then, she sees the maid going to bring some items from outside, so she also goes with the maid. Then the maid comes home and prepares food and says to Seo-ri, "Can you go and give this to Gong? I have some other work." Seo-ri says, "Fine." Then she comes to the office with the food. At that time, no one is there. So she starts waiting. Just then, Rin's call arrives. Seo-ri talks to her, so Rin gives her a message for Gong. "Please see a video about the festival." Hearing the name of the festival, Seo-ri starts talking to her about the festival. Rin feels very good talking to Seo-ri here. Just then, someone comes to call Rin, so she cuts the call. After cutting the call, Rin says, "I didn't even ask her name." Then Seo-ri leaves that message written on a note. Then a pen falls down from her hand, so she goes under the table to pick up the pen. Just then, Gong comes there and is about to sit on the chair when he sees Seo-ri there, gets scared, and falls down. So Seo-ri says to him, "Boris, I was picking up the pen." Then both of them stand up. So Seo-ri says to Gong, "I am sorry for my behavior that day. Please return home." Gong says, "Fine, I will see. Now you go." Hearing this, Seo-ri leaves from there. Then at night, Seo-ri is waiting for Gong to come home. While waiting for him, it gets very late, so she falls asleep right there at the door. The next morning, when her eyes open, she goes to Gong's room to see him. Chan is sleeping there. Seeing him, Seo-ri first feels he is Gong, so she is happy. But when she sees Chan's face, she becomes sad and leaves from there. Then Seo-ri goes to the office to meet Gong, but Gong is not there. She asks Gong's boss about Gong. "Where is Gong?" The boss says he has just gone out. Hearing this, Seo-ri comes outside and sees Gong leaving, so she thinks, I must go after him. Gong then goes to a restaurant, so Seo-ri also goes after him. Gong starts having a meeting with someone there, so Seo-ri sits at another table and starts waiting for his meeting to finish. Then Seo-ri goes to drink water. At that time, Gong finishes the meeting and comes out from there. Seo-ri sees him, so she immediately goes out after him. Gong is measuring a chair and table outside when a couple misunderstands him and starts fighting with him. Just then, Seo-ri arrives there and tells them he is a designer. That's why he keeps measuring things. Hearing this, those people leave. After they leave, Gong says to her, you did not need to do all this. Hearing this, Seo-ri gets angry at him and leaves. And coming forward, she thinks, what have I done? I should not have said all this to Gong. Then Gong comes to the office and sees that Chan has come there. He asks Gong, can we have food together? So Gong says, let's go and have food somewhere outside. Then they both go to have food at a place, where, after having food, both of them are talking. Then Chan requests Gong, please return home. Gong says, fine. There, Seo-ri leaves a sorry and goodbye note on Gong's table and says, because of me, Gong is not coming here. Therefore, I will leave from here tomorrow. The next morning, when Gong comes home, Seo-ri is surprised to see him. Then Gong goes to his room and is about to read Seo-ri's note when Seo-ri quickly goes there and takes that note. Gong says, what is all this? Seo-ri says, nothing. Then she shows Gong the way to open the skylight window. Seeing it, Gong is surprised and says, we didn't know about this all at all. Then Seo-ri closes the window and comes outside. Just then, she remembers something. So she goes back to the room and sees Gong trying to open the window, but the window is not opening for him, so Seo-ri shows him the way. Then Gong opens the window, and both of them look at the view outside from the window and are happy. Then Seo-ri is closing the window when she is about to fall. So Gong saves her, and in between, both of them come close to each other. But when they realize this, they move away from each other. After this, Seo-ri leaves from there. Then Gong gets a call from his dad, so he asks them, do you know anything about Seo-ri's uncle and aunt? So they say, I do not know anything about them. Gong says, fine, and cuts the call. After this, everyone starts having food together. Then, at night, Gong is in his room when he hears some sound, so he is coming down to see. At that time, Chan and the maid also arrive there. Gong asks them, did you people also hear the sound? So they say, yes, we also heard the sound. Just then, an onion comes and stops at Gong's feet. He picks it up and says, this is an onion, but what is it doing here? Just then, Seo-ri comes out of her room, and her eyes are completely hurting. She does not talk to them, and goes to apply an ice pack to her eyes. After she leaves, these people look in her room and see that many onions are lying there, which Seo-ri was cutting. Then, when Seo-ri is sitting with the ice pack on her eyes, these people ask her, why were you cutting so many onions? Seo-ri says, this is my part-time job. I will cut onions and give them to a restaurant. By doing this, I will get money, and with that money, I will get my violin repaired. After this, Seo-ri is sitting outside and making a rabbit. Just then, Chan arrives there. He sees Seo-ri making a rabbit, so he asks, what is this? Seo-ri says, my mom had taught this to me. Then Seo-ri also teaches Chan the way to make a rabbit. There, Gong is in the room and he is thinking about Seo-ri. When I saw her for the first time, Seo-ri was making a rabbit then too. The next morning, when Gong is going to work, he is about to collide with the plant. Seeing this, Seo-ri comes there and says, I will remove it from here. Saying this, she starts removing it. So Gong says, no, let it stay right here. If it stays here, it will remain healthy. Then Gong takes Chan and his friends and goes to school. At that time, Leary sees Chan, so she starts running after him. But just then, she sees Gong, so she hides her face and leaves from there. Then Gong is in the office, so his boss and colleague ask him, who is that lady who had come here? Is she your girlfriend? Gong does not give any reply to their words and leaves from there. After he leaves, both of them think, after all, who is that girl? What is her connection with Gong? Then Gong goes to have a meeting at a place. At that time, he sees Seo-ri going to a place there. Bar is written outside there. So seeing this, Gong thinks, why has she gone into the bar? Then he finishes the meeting and goes into the bar and asks, is there a girl named Seo-ri here? So they say, no such girl has come here. Hearing this, Gong starts calling Seo-ri's name in a loud voice. So the people of that bar catch him and take him outside. Just then, Seo-ri arrives there. She feels that Gong was again measuring things, so these people are fighting with him. Then she goes forward and gets Gong released from them. Then they are moving forward when Seo-ri says to Gong, you thought that I'd gone into the bar, but I had not gone into the bar. I had gone into the store next to it. Then she says to Gong, thank you for taking so much care of me. Then she sees a fountain where drinking water is written below. Seeing this, she starts drinking the water from that fountain. Gong tries to stop her, but she does not stop. Then a man comes there, picks up that drinking water poster, and puts it near a pipe. Seeing this, Seo-ri is stunned. So Gong says to her, I had said, do not drink this water, but you did not listen to me. Then they both are going home when, on the way, Seo-ri's stomach starts hurting because of drinking too much water. Then at night, Chan is exercising when he stops while exercising and starts thinking about Seo-ri. There, Seo-ri is thinking about Gong, how much he takes care of me. Gong is also in his room and he is also remembering Seo-ri's words. The next day, the maid is going somewhere when a girl comes behind her. The maid turns back in anger and asks that girl, who are you? Then that girl says, I am Chan's girlfriend. Then Chan and his friends also arrive there. So, Leary comes inside the house with them. Coming inside, she sees Seo-ri, so she asks, who is this? Chan's friends tell her, this is Seo-ri, and she has come to stay here for a few days. Then Seo-ri asks her, who are you? Leary says, I am Chan's girlfriend. On this, Chan says, she is not my girlfriend. She is only my friend. After this, they start helping Seo-ri in her part-time work. During the work, something enters Seo-ri's eye, so Chan starts helping her. Seeing this, Leary feels bad, so she pushes Chan back and helps Seo-ri herself. Then Gong arrives there. So, seeing him, Leary gets scared, puts on a mask, and comes outside from there. And coming outside, she says to herself, that day I made such a big mistake. Now what will I do next? Saying this, she leaves from there. Then Seo-ri gives that item to a shop, so from there she gets money. Seeing this, she is very happy. Then she comes home and is very happy, so seeing her, Chan says, what is the matter? Why is she so happy today? Then at night, Seo-ri goes to Gong's room for some work. At that time, Gong is sleeping there. Seeing Gong sleeping, Seo-ri feels good, so she starts looking at him. Then after a while, Gong makes a slight movement, so Seo-ri ducks down and then quietly runs away from there. The next morning, Seo-ri goes to Gong's room to say good morning to him. At that time, Gong is not in the room. Seeing this, Seo-ri asks Chan about Gong. So, Chan says, Uncle had some important work. That's why he has left. Then, Leary comes to their house with some clothes and says to Seo-ri, I have found out that you do not have many clothes to wear, therefore I have brought clothes for you. Hearing this, Seo-ri says thanks to her and then looks at those clothes. She likes them very much. Then the maid is practicing karate at a place when, during the karate practice, the maid gets hurt. When Seo-ri finds out about this, she goes to work in a house in place of the maid and does all the work of that house. While working, she sees a photo frame in which Tai is, but Seo-ri does not know him. Therefore, she leaves the frame right there. Then she finishes the work and comes outside. Just then, Tai arrives there. After coming outside, Seo-ri remembers, I have forgotten some items in the house. Therefore, she goes back to the house to take the items. At that time, Tae is sleeping there. Seo-ri is going with the items when, because of her sound, Tae wakes up and he comes outside and says, who is outside? But no one is there. Then, at night, Gong is going home when he sees Seo-ri standing on the bridge on the way, making a rabbit with her hand. Seeing this, Gong starts remembering the old things, and his condition becomes bad. After this, Seo-ri takes something for the maid to eat. Seeing this, the maid says thanks to her for taking care of her. On this, Seo-ri says, it's okay. There, Gong is still remembering the old things and is very sad. The next day, Gong goes to a psychiatrist. This is the same psychiatrist to whom Gong has been coming for many years. Gong tells everything to the psychiatrist, so the psychiatrist says, that girl is making you remember the old things. Therefore, it is better that you stay a little away from her. Gong says, fine. There, Rin's call arrives at the office. So Gong's colleague Jin picks up that call. Rin says, I want to talk to that female staff with whom I had talked that day. Jin says, there is no such staff here. Then, after the call is cut, Jin tells everything to the boss. So, the boss says, who is such a girl with whom Rin had talked? The boss is thinking this when she thinks of Seo-ri, so she calls Chan and asks him, who is Seo-ri? On this, Chan says, she has come to stay at our house for a few days. The boss asks, does she know about music? Chan says, yes, she knows. The boss says, fine, can you make me talk to her? Chan says, yes, why not? Then he makes the boss talk to Seo-ri. Then Gong comes to the office, so he sees Seo-ri there. Seo-ri says to him, from today, I will also work here. Hearing this, Gong is surprised. There, Chan is practicing boating. Then, during the rowing practice, he again starts thinking about Seo-ri. Here, Gong says to the boss, please fire her. The boss says, she will help us in this project. Therefore, I will not fire her. Saying this, she leaves from there. Then Gong also comes down. So Seo-ri says to him, you have praised me here. That's why they have kept me, haven't they? Seo-ri talks more to Gong here, but Gong ignores her words and leaves. So Seo-ri says to herself, I should not talk uselessly at work and should work seriously. Then, Gong finishes the work and leaves the office early. Seeing this, his boss starts getting angry. How can he leave like this without telling? Then, Rin's call arrives. Seo-ri talks to her, so Rin says to her, "Let me tell you everything about the festival. What kind of arrangement do we need?" There, Gong is again near the bridge and is remembering the old things. Just then, Seo-ri calls him and says, "There is an important meeting tomorrow. Also, you have left your car right here. If you come back, we can go home together." Gong says, "I will not come back. You go home." After this, Gong sits at a place and starts thinking about the old things. Then, at night, Gong is trying to sleep, but because of the old things, he is unable to sleep. The next morning, Seo-ri is going to the office early, so Chan comes with his cycle and, seating her on the cycle, takes her to the office. In the office, Seo-ri does her work very well. So, being happy with this, Jin says to the boss, "We should give her a welcome party." The boss says, "Fine." Then, at night, Gong is measuring things at a place. There, Seo-ri comes to a restaurant to have dinner, where the boss says, "Don't know what happened to Gong today. He didn't come to the office today and attended all the meetings from outside." Seo-ri says, "I also do not know." Then those people offer her a drink. When Seo-ri takes the drink, she likes it very much. There, after finishing work, Gong is sitting in a restaurant. Just then, a call from Chan and his friends arrives, who ask him, "Will you have food together with us?" But Gong says to them, "You people have food. I will be late in coming." Then at night, Gong is sleeping when Seo-ri comes home. She is very drunk. So considering Gong's room to be her room, she sleeps with Gong. The next morning, when her eyes open, seeing Gong near her, she thinks, "This is a dream." Then she touches Gong's face, so Gong's eyes open. Seo-ri says, "This is a dream, isn't it?" But Gong says, "This is not a dream." Seo-ri says, "If this is not a dream, then what are you doing in my room?" Gong says, "This is my room." Hearing this, Seo-ri removes the sheet from her face, and it is indeed Gong's room. Seeing this, Seo-ri stands up all at once and is about to leave when she hears the sound of Chan coming. So she quickly hides in the closet. Chan comes into the room, takes Gong's perfume, and leaves. After he leaves, Gong opens the closet and tells Seo-ri, "Leave from here." So, Seo-ri quickly leaves from there. At that time, that painting of Seo-ri which Gong had made is also there, but Seo-ri is unable to see it. After she leaves, Gong keeps that painting straight and says, "It always keeps reminding me of old things. For this reason, I try to stay away from it, but what can I do? I am just unable to stay away from it." Then, in the office, Seo-ri starts using Gong's headphones to listen to some music playing in a festival, but his headphones are broken, so Jin goes to take other headphones. Just then, Gong arrives there and is taking those headphones when Seo-ri says to him, "These headphones are broken." Gong says, "I know." Seo-ri says, "Then why are you taking them?" Gong says, "We are not going to stay together forever, so we do not need to know each other more." Just then, the boss arrives and says, "Come, let's go eat something." Gong says, "No, I have some work." Then Seo-ri is sitting outside and is sad thinking about this. Then Gong is making coffee when Seo-ri arrives there, and by mistake, the door gets locked by her. Then Seo-ri moves back, and by mistake, a machine gets turned on by her. Then Gong comes and turns it off. Then Jin arrives there and takes these two out of the room. Then Gong is going somewhere when Seo-ri arrives there and asks him, "What have I done that you were saying all this?" Seo-ri asks all this to Gong repeatedly here, but Gong does not tell her anything and leaves from there. Then a show of Rin happens where everyone goes. There, when Seo-ri sees Rin playing the violin, she starts crying, thinking about herself. "If all that had not happened to me, today I would also be here." Gong sees Seo-ri crying. Then, after the show finishes, Rin is happy to meet Seo-ri and says, "I felt good talking to you that day. That's why I wanted to meet you. And I hope that the festival for which we are working together will be good." Seo-ri says, "We will give our best from our side." Then Rin asks Seo-ri, "What is your name?" When Seo-ri tells her name, Rin becomes sad hearing her name. Then she is in the makeup room and is thinking only about Seo-ri. There, Gong and Seo-ri go home. Then Chan sees that Seo-ri has got a wound on her hand. He asks Seo-ri, "What happened?" Seo-ri says, "Nothing, I just got wounded while working." Seeing this, he feels bad. So he quickly goes to the market, gets medicine, and goes to Seo-ri's room. Then he sees that the maid has already applied medicine to Seo-ri. Seeing this, Chan goes to his room and says, "What is happening to me? Why am I worrying so much about Seo-ri?" Then Gong is in his room and is thinking about the old things spent with Seo-ri. Then he comes down and sees that Seo-ri is cutting onions and crying at the same time. She is about to wipe her tears with her hand when Gong comes to her, stops her hand and says, "Do not put your hand on your eyes." Then Gong wipes her tears and, in between, both of them come close to each other. Gong is about to kiss Seo-ri when, because of his leg hitting, the onions fall down. Seeing this, both of them move away from each other and start picking up the onions. Then by mistake, Gong puts the onion-covered hand on his own eyes, due to which his eyes start burning. Seo-ri is trying to stop him, and she also, by mistake, puts her hand on her eyes, so her eyes also start burning. Then, both of them somehow go and wash their faces, which makes them feel better. Then, both of them go outside where they both talk a lot. Then, in the middle of talking, Seo-ri says, "Today, when I saw Rin performing on stage, I did not feel good." Gong says, "Why is that?" Seo-ri says, "If that accident had not happened to me, today I would also be there." Gong asks, "Which accident?" Seo-ri is about to tell him when she sees that a flower has fallen on Gong's head. So she starts picking it up, and the talk about the accident remains right there. After this, Seo-ri starts telling Gong about a tree. When did we plant it? The next day, Chan is boating when he remembers the night's talk. He thinks, when I started getting feelings for Seo-ri, I decided I will first win the national boating competition happening this year, and then I will confess my feelings to Seo-ri. Remembering all this, Chan says to himself, I have to win this competition at any cost. His friends, seeing him boating in the rain like this, say, what has happened to him? If he practices in the rain like this, he will fall ill. There, Gong goes to the office and is very happy. Seeing this, the boss asks him, what has happened to you? You are looking a bit changed. Gong says, nothing has happened to me. I am just as I was before. Saying this, he leaves from there. Then, Gong had gone to meet someone when a client named Park arrives there, who tries to flirt with Seo-ri, but the boss comes in between and, after telling him about the work, sends him away from there. But while leaving, Park deliberately leaves his mobile right there and goes. There, Gong is in the meeting when he sees that he has brought the wrong file. So, he calls Jin and asks him to bring the right file. So, Jin goes with the right file. After he leaves, Park's phone rings. Seo-ri picks up the phone, so Park says, I have left my phone there by mistake. Can you bring it to me? Seo-ri says, fine, I am bringing it. There, Gong finishes the meeting and comes out. Then, he calls Seo-ri. So Seo-ri tells him, I am going to the bar to give the phone. Hearing this, Gong does not feel anything right, so he leaves for there. Here, Seo-ri gives Park his phone, so Park asks her, will you have food together with me? Seo-ri says, no, I'll be going. Hearing this, Park calls Seo-ri's boss and says to her, can I feed Seo-ri food? The boss says, fine, you can feed her. Park tells this to Seo-ri, so Seo-ri then sits there. Then when these two are eating food, Gong also arrives there. Park asks him, why have you come here? Gong says, I have come here to take a file. Saying this, he also sits down to have food with them. Then, the three of them eat food together and drink wine. Then, after Park goes to the bathroom, Gong says to Seo-ri, what are you still doing here? You should have gone after giving the phone. Seo-ri says, I was about to do exactly that, but the boss asked me to stay for food. Hearing this, Gong calls the boss and asks, did you tell Seo-ri to stay for food? So the boss says, I haven't said anything like that, nor has Park called me. He must have lied. Hearing this, Gong cuts the call. After this, Gong mixes something in Park's glass. When Park comes and drinks it, his condition becomes bad, and he leaves from there. After he leaves, Gong says to Seo-ri, you should not come to meet such people. Seo-ri says, fine. After this, both of them leave from there. Then, due to drinking, Gong gets drunk. So, while going home, he starts doing very strange things. First, he hides behind a tree. Seo-ri takes him out from there, so he runs away from there. Seo-ri runs after him and catches him. Then she is taking him by holding his shirt when, on the way, Gong takes off the shirt and runs away. Then he goes to a basketball ground and, considering it to be his home, falls asleep right there. Seo-ri also goes after him and lies down near him and starts looking at him. Then she is taking him home by putting him in a handcart when she meets the maid on the way, who asks, what is all this? Seo-ri tells her, Gong has become unconscious due to drinking too much. Now I am taking him home. Hearing this, the maid picks him up and takes him home. Then Seo-ri is going to return the handcart when she meets Chan on the way, so he asks, what is all this? Seo-ri tells him, Gong has become unconscious due to drinking too much. Now I am taking him home. Then, Chan makes Seo-ri sit in that same cart and goes with her to return it. The next morning, when Gong is going to work, he remembers all of last night's things. Well, what all did I do last night? Then Seo-ri also comes into his car and gets very angry at him regarding last night. Both of them go to the office where the boss tells them Park had called and he has refused to work with us. Gong says, come on, it's good. Anyway, he is not a good person. The boss says, yes, you're right. After this, Gong leaves from there for some meeting. Then when Chan is returning from school, he sees Seo-ri, so he runs after her. Seeing this, his friends are surprised. What has happened to him? Then Chan meets Seo-ri. So Seo-ri asks him, what are you doing here? Chan says, I have just returned from school. Then both of them talk for a while. After this, Chan leaves for his boating practice. Then Seo-ri comes home. so she sees those same people there who had come to see this house once before. Seeing them, Seo-ri becomes worried. Then she is inside the house and thinks, the time they had given me is about to be completed. Now it is not right to ask for more time from them, nor will I be able to ask for more time. The next day when Gong is going to work, the maid tells him, yesterday some people had come to see the house. Gong says, oh, Dad must have sent them. The maid asks, if this house is sold, then after this where will you stay? Gong says, after this we will stay in Chan's flat, it is nearby. After this, Gong goes to the storeroom and is looking at old things there. Just then he gets a call from a client, so he leaves from there in a hurry and forgets to close the door of the storeroom while leaving. Then Seo-ri is playing with the dog when the dog runs and comes into the storeroom and knocks things down. Among those things, Seo-ri's drawing is also there. Seo-ri comes there and is about to pick them up when just then the maid arrives and says, Gong has forbidden anyone from coming here, so you come outside. Hearing this, Seo-ri leaves from there and is unable to see the drawing. Then, at night, Seo-ri is standing on the lawn and thinking, now all this will be gone. Just then Gong arrives and asks, what are you thinking? Seo-ri says, now all this will be gone. I am thinking just this. Saying this, she goes inside. Then Gong is in his room and thinks, now all this will be gone. The next day, Seo-ri says to Jin, I need a house on rent. Can you help me in this? Jin says, fine, I will see. Then Gong is in the office and is thinking, should I ask Seo-ri to stay with us in the flat? Or should I find a house for her? Gong is thinking all this when Seo-ri arrives there and gives him something to eat. Gong is about to talk about this when Jin says to Seo-ri, I have a cousin who is going abroad for study. She has a fish, and she wants someone to stay in her flat and take care of her fish. For this, you do not even need to pay rent. You can stay there for free because my cousin has already paid 1 year's rent. Hearing this, Seo-ri is happy, but Gong becomes a little upset and leaves from there. Then Seo-ri comes home and tells this to Chan and the maid. The maid is happy and says, this is good news, but Chan becomes sad. Then Gong comes home, so Chan says to him, Seo-ri is leaving from here. You stop her. She can stay with us in our flat, can't she? Gong says, what can I do in this? She has decided to leave. Then both of them come inside. So Chan says to Seo-ri, you do not need to stay separately. You can stay with us in our flat. Seo-ri says, no, you people have already done a lot for me. Now I cannot stay with you in the flat, but I will keep coming to meet you people. Hearing this, Chan and Gong become sad. The next day, Gong, Jin, and Seo-ri are going somewhere when their car breaks down. So Jin stays right in the workshop with the car, and Gong and Seo-ri decide to go there by train. When both of them reach the station, Seo-ri sees cup noodles there. She asks Gong, can I eat those cup noodles? So Gong gets noodles for both of them. Then both of them are eating noodles when the train arrives, so they sit in the train. Then when they get off the train and are walking, Gong meets a boy who says, I took this photo of yours in the train. Gong is happy to see that photo and keeps it with him. Then Seo-ri arrives there and asks him, what has he given? Gong says, he hasn't given anything. Then both of them go to a place where they meet Rin. Seo-ri is very happy to meet Rin, but Rin is not happy at all to meet her. There, Chan and his friends are going home when they see Tai there. So Chan goes to talk to Tae. Tae asks him about Seo-ri. So Chan says, she came here once, but she hasn't come back since then. Hearing this, Tai is giving him his card. If Seo-ri comes here again, then call me. On this, Chan says, we are going to sell this house. A building is going to be built here. Hearing this, Tai is stunned. There, Seo-ri sees a girl playing the violin, so she starts praising her. You play the violin very well. Hearing this, that girl says, do you also play the violin? Seo-ri says, I used to play earlier. That girl says, would you like to play now? Seo-ri says, yes. Here, Rin meets her teacher, so she is very happy. Let us tell you one thing here. Rin's teacher himself used to be Seo-ri's teacher as well. Both of them are talking when the teacher hears the sound of Seo-ri playing the violin. There, Seo-ri is playing the violin when Gong arrives there and starts watching her playing the violin. Seo-ri is playing the violin, but just then she played a wrong note, so she stops and also says, thanks. She leaves from there. After she leaves, the teacher arrives there and asks that girl, were you playing the violin just now? That girl says, no, a girl had come just now. She has played it. The teacher then goes to Rin and asks, do you know which girl would have played the violin just now? Rin says, I do not know. Then Seo-ri is sitting outside and thinking, why am I not able to play properly? Just then, Gong arrives there and seeing her sad, he takes her with him to the beach, where he says to Seo-ri, today, I saw you playing the violin. Why have you left the violin? Seo-ri says, when I was young, I used to play the violin, but then an accident happened to me and I had to stay in the hospital for some years. Because of this, the violin has been left by me. Gong says, if I had known all this earlier, I would not have behaved so badly with you. Seo-ri says, it's okay. Then Gong starts telling her about himself. In childhood, I have done very badly to a girl, after which I felt very bad, and I could not tell that to anyone either. For this reason, I became lonely, and I also stopped talking to people. Gong says, today also I remember all that. I haven't forgotten it yet, and I will never be able to forget. While telling all this, Gong starts crying. So Seo-ri says to him, if you cannot tell more, then there is no need to tell. Sharing this much is also enough. After this, both of them are going towards the hotel when, on the way, Gong says to Seo-ri, whatever has happened in your past, no one can change it. But I hope whatever happens in the future will be good only. Hearing this, Seo-ri is happy. Then Seo-ri changes her clothes and comes to the balcony. Then she sees Gong below, so she likes Gong very much. Then Seo-ri says to herself, what is happening to me? The next day, Seo-ri says bye to everyone and is going to the other house. Just then, Gong arrives there and gives her a lift. When both of them reach there, Seo-ri says bye to Gong and leaves. After she leaves, Gong meets the security guard there and gives him his number and says, if there is any problem in flat 101, then call me immediately. The security guard says, fine. There, Seo-ri reaches outside the flat and uses the password. Then Jin's cousin comes out from inside and says to Seo-ri, some problem has occurred in my documents. That's why I will go abroad next year. So now I do not need anyone for my fish. Hearing this, Seo-ri comes outside with her luggage and thinks, now where will I go? I cannot go back either because I have come after saying bye to them. Then she comes to the office and thinks, I'll stay right here. Just then she hears the sound of Gong and the boss coming, so she runs away from there. In between, her pepper spray falls down right there. Gong comes down and sees that pepper spray, so he says, this is Seo-ri's. Then he quickly comes outside and sees Seo-ri's luggage, so he runs after her. There, Seo-ri is walking with her luggage when, on the way, she feels very hot. So, she turns on a fan on the way and stands there. This fan has been given to Seo-ri by Chan's friends as a goodbye gift. Seo-ri is sitting in front of the fan when Gong arrives there and says to her, if some problem had occurred, then you should have gone home. What are you doing here on the road? Seo-ri says, I am feeling ashamed while going back. Gong says, now I will not listen to any other word of yours. You come home with me right now. Saying this, he takes her back home with him. While going home, he says to Seo-ri, look for a house for yourself. If some good house is found, then fine. Otherwise, you can also stay with us in the flat. Seo-ri says, fine. Then Chan comes home. So he is surprised to see Seo-ri there. Seo-ri says to him, I have come back. Just then, Gong arrives there and says, until she finds a house, she will stay right here. Hearing this, Chan becomes very happy and hugs Seo-ri. Then Chan's friends also arrive there, and knowing this news, they say, what, we are so happy. And the four of them start dancing together. Seeing them doing this, Gong and the maid also become happy. The next day, Chan is practicing boating when he gets a call from his mom who says, I have come here for some important work and will stay here for a few hours. Therefore, I am coming home to meet you. Hearing this, Chan becomes worried and thinks, if mom sees Seo-ri, then what will we say? Then he quickly sits in a taxi and leaves from there. On the way, he also calls Gong and tells him all this. So Gong also takes his car and immediately leaves from there. Then Chan's mom comes home and knocks on the door. Seo-ri opens the door, so she asks Seo-ri, who are you? Just then, Gong and Chan arrive there, and they try to change the topic, but are unable to. Then Mom says to Seo-ri, you are the new maid of this house, aren't you? On this, Chan and Gong say, yes, she is the maid. Then Mom goes inside the house. First, she goes to Chan's room with him and talks to him. Then she goes to Gong's room and talks to him. Here, Gong also shows her the way to open the skylight window. After this, when she is leaving, Seo-ri feels, by lying to her, we haven't done right. Therefore, she runs behind their car and asks them, please stop the car. When the car stops and Chan's mom comes out, Seo-ri tells them everything truthfully, but his mom leaves from there after telling her to take care of herself. Then when Gong returns home, Seo-ri says to him, I have told your sister everything about myself, but still she hasn't said anything to me. On this, Gong says, I had already told her everything before you told her. Hearing this, Seo-ri says, really? You had told her? Gong says, yes. Then Chan and his friends arrive there who have brought a watermelon with them. Then everyone eats the watermelon together and also jokes a lot with each other. After this, they all take a photo together. The next morning, everyone wakes up and sees that Gong is missing from the house. He has also left his phone right here. Seeing this, everyone is worried about him. Chan says, is it possible that he has again gone to some forest? Seo-ri says, gone to a forest? What do you mean? Chan says, he always does like this. He goes somewhere and then returns after 6 months. Hearing this, Seo-ri and the maid are surprised. Then Seo-ri is in the office and is worried thinking about all this when the boss asks her to leave a book at the library. So Seo-ri is going with that book when she meets Gong on the way. Seo-ri asks him, where had you gone? Gong says, I went to Jeju Island to meet my dad. I have talked to him. Now he will not sell this house. Hearing this, Seo-ri is happy and hugs him. Then Gong says to her, now you can stay here as long as you want. After this, Gong calls Chan. Chan first gets angry, but then Gong tells him, I have talked to Dad, and he will not sell the house. So Chan is happy hearing this. Then Seori is making coffee in the office when Gong arrives there. Seori sees that his button has broken, so she starts attaching his button. Just then, the boss arrives and, seeing these two close, asks, what is happening? Then Seori looks up all at once, because of which her head hits Gong's nose. Then Gong and Seori go to see a stage at a place. There, Seori is taking photos when she sees her teacher there, so she recognizes him. Then she starts talking to the teacher, so hearing her words, the teacher also recognizes her. Seeing this, Rin does not feel good. Then Seori sits with the teacher and starts talking. There, Gong comes to the hall to take his measurement tape. Then Rin asks him, is Seori still talking to the teacher? Gong says, yes. Then he goes a little forward, turns back, and looks at Rin. So he thinks, why was Rin asking me all this? Then Gong and Seori are sitting in a restaurant where Seori says to Gong, the teacher has told me that I can use his practice room to practice the violin. While telling all this, Seori is very happy. So Gong is also happy for her. Then they both come outside where Seori gifts Gong new headphones. Seeing this, Gong is happy. Then Gong is at home where he is happy thinking about the fact that today, while attaching the button, Seori had come so close to him. He is thinking all this when Chan arrives there and saying good night to him, leaves. After he leaves, Gong takes off that shirt and keeps it. The next day, after having a meeting with someone when Gong goes to the office, he finds out from Jin. The boss and Seori have gone to another city to meet someone. Gong asks, by when will they return? Jin says, they will return by evening. After this, Gong starts waiting for them. When it is evening, Jin tells Gong, a storm has come there. For this reason, vehicles have stopped running. Therefore, now they will come tomorrow morning. Hearing this, Gong becomes upset. Then, after coming home, he calls Seori, but her call does not connect. Then Gong puts on headphones and is listening to music, and at the same time he thinks, I am missing Seori. There, Seori is also thinking about Gong and says to herself, I miss Gong. The next day, Chan goes for boating practice. Then he sees a child drowning there. So he jumps into the water, saves that child, and after this they take that child to the hospital. Then in the hospital, Chan asks the nurse, he is fine, isn't he? The nurse says, yes, he is fine. After this, that child's mom arrives there, and she is none other than Seori's aunt. There, when Seori returns, she is happy to see Gong across the road. Gong also, when he sees her, is very happy. Then they both meet on the bridge where Seori says, I have missed you very much. Hearing this, Gong also says, I have also missed you very much. Then Seori realizes, what have I said? So she quickly leaves from there. So Gong also goes after her. Then both of them come home, and after coming home, both of them are feeling nervous looking at each other. So they quickly run to their respective rooms. Then at night, they both go to take something to eat in the kitchen. Just then, an insect has come there. Seeing it, Seori gets scared. Gong tries to make it go away, but it does not go. So Gong turns off the light and says to Seori, stay for a while. It will go away on its own. Then they both are standing right there when that insect passes near them. So during this, both of them come close to each other and are about to kiss each other when that insect again comes near them. So because of this, Seori is about to fall. So Gong saves her. Just then, a sound starts coming from Gong's stomach, so Gong says, I am very hungry. After this, they both go outside to eat something. The next day, Seori takes her violin to the shop and gets it repaired. After this, Seori receives a call from her teacher, so she goes to meet him. There, her teacher tells her, perform in a show with me. After this, Seori is sitting on the office roof and is thinking about this very thing. Should I perform in the show or not? Just then, Gong arrives there and asks her, what is the matter? You are looking worried. Gong asks her this repeatedly here, but Seori does not tell him anything. After this, Seori is going home, so Gong gives her a lift. Then Seori comes home and says, I will definitely participate in the show. After this, she starts practicing, but she is unable to play the violin properly. There, when Rin finds out, she says to herself, Seori is going to participate in the show, and she becomes very upset. Then she is going to the teacher to talk about this. Just then, the teacher receives a call from Seori, who says, I will not participate. On this, the teacher says, it is your choice, but if you had participated, I would have felt very good. Rin also hears this, and she feels very good hearing it. Then she comes to the teacher and says, I just heard that Seori is not participating. If she had participated, how good it would have been. The teacher says, you are right, but what can be done now? The next day, Gong and Seori go to a studio for some work. There, Seori gives an idea regarding the work. Hearing it, a man standing there is impressed by her. Then both of them are sitting together where that man is telling Seori, date my son. Seeing this, Gong feels very bad. Then that man starts showing Seori his son's photo. Just then, Gong arrives there and tries to engage him in conversation so that he does not show his son's photo to Seori. But that man, ignoring Gong, starts showing his son's photo to Seori. Then Seori refuses, saying, I am not ready for dating right now. Hearing this, Gong becomes happy. Then Seori is working when someone calls her. Seori is going towards them when a wall made of foam is about to fall on Seori. Then, two men catch that wall. Then, Gong comes to Seori and asks her, Are you fine? So Seori looks at her hands and says, I am fine. Then both of them are sitting outside. Gong says to Seori, You have got a wound on your leg, haven't you? Seori says, Yes, I have got a little bit, but I am happy that I did not get a wound on my hands. Gong asks her, What do you mean by, I did not get a wound on my hands? Then Seori tells him, The teacher asked me, perform in the show with me. At first I refused, but now I feel I should do this. On this, Gong says, You are getting a chance to move forward in life. You should not step back, and you should move forward. Seori says, You are right. I will not step back. Then Seori says to the boss, I want to perform in the show. So the boss says, You can do your practice after work. Hearing this, Seori is happy. Then at night, Seori is practicing when Chan arrives there and says to Seori, You were playing the violin very well. Hearing this, Seori is happy. Then she asks Chan about his boating practice. So Chan tells her, Today I met a man. He is the head of the top diving school here. His school participates in many competitions and wins too. He has invited me to his school. Hearing this, Seori is happy for him. Then both of them say, All the best to each other for the future. The next day, Seori is walking while playing air violin as before. Gong sees her and thinks, What is she doing? Then he stops Seori and asks, What are you doing? Seori says, I am feeling the music. Gong says, Fine, but walk while looking down. There the teacher tells Rin, Seori has changed her mind. Now she will perform with us. Hearing this, Rin does not feel good. Then when Seori comes for practice, the teacher introduces her to everyone. Rin is also there. She still does not feel good. After this, Seori does this every day. She does her practice and also does the office work. There, Chan also puts full focus on his boating practice. One night, Seori comes home and sees that someone is calling Chan's phone. Seeing this, Seori calls Chan, so Chan comes and talks to them. This call is from Seori's aunt. She says, Thanks for saving my son's life. Chan talks to her and then tells Seori, That day I saved a child's life. Now his mom is saying thanks to me. The next night, while returning from work, Seori is lost in music when she is about to collide with something and fall. Just then, Gong arrives and saves her. Seeing this, Seori remembers Sumi, how once she had also saved her like this. Then she tells this to Gong as well. Once my friend also saved me just like this, but now I don't know where she is. Here, Seori also says to Gong, I always used to take my friend's gym bag. Gong then looks at her, so Seori says, Why are you looking like this? Gong says, You are looking very cute today. Hearing this, Seori freezes right there. So Gong catches her and takes her inside. The next day, Gong has to talk to Seori about a design. He looks for Seori in the office, but Seori is not in the office. He asks Jin, who says she has just gone out. Hearing this, Gong goes after Seori in a hurry. After he leaves, Jin finds a photo in Seori's diary, which is a photo of a show from her childhood. And this photo was given to Seori by her teacher. Jin looks at that photo and thinks, which one of these is Seori? There, Gong goes after Seori. Seori is walking while enjoying the music when a lady is about to splash water on her. Just then, Gong calls her name. So Seori turns back. Seeing this, Gong remembers the previous incident, how he had saved Sumi like this in childhood. Remembering all this, his condition becomes bad. When Seori sees this, she immediately goes to Gong. So Gong places his head on her shoulder and says, Let me stay like this for a while. Seori is surprised by all this. Then Gong is sitting at a place when Seori asks him, Are you fine? Gong says, Yes, I am fine. I had remembered an old matter. After this, both of them are in the office, where Seori is looking only at Gong repeatedly. When Gong looks at her, she starts doing strange things. Then Gong says to her, Stop all this. Come to me and help with the work. Hearing this, Seori goes to him. So Gong writes on a note and gives it to her. I am perfectly fine. Therefore, stop staring at me and pay attention to your work. Seori reads this and looks at him, so Gong says to her, I am perfectly fine. Then Seori goes to her seat and again starts looking at him. After this, the boss arrives, and then these people start talking about the stage design. Then, at night, Gong takes Seori to see a fountain. Seeing it, Seori is very happy. After this, Seo-ri is sitting at a place when Gong has gone to get something to eat. When he returns, he starts giving water to a plant. Seeing this, Seo-ri remembers the childhood Gong. In childhood, Gong used to give water to plants just like this when Seo-ri saw him. Then, Gong comes to Seo-ri and asks, "What happened? Why are you sitting like this?" Seo-ri says, "Nothing, I just remembered something." After this, they both are walking when the rain starts, so they stop at a place to escape the rain. Then Seo-ri tells Gong, "That night when you told me to leave, I stayed right here. That night I was very scared." After this, both of them are talking more when, in the middle of the conversation, Gong places his hand on her hand. Seeing this, Seo-ri becomes nervous and pulls her hand back. The next morning, Gong wakes up and remembers Seo-ri's words, how she was running on the road for her uncle that day. After this, Gong thinks, "I should do something for Seo-ri." After this, Gong goes to the police station and says to the police officers, "Please find Seo-ri's uncle and aunt." But the police officers refuse him by saying, "We cannot take out anyone's information just like that." After this, Gong goes to a place where banners of missing persons are placed. Gong also asks to place a banner, but that man says, "When one of these banners is removed, only then can we place your banner." Gong says, "Fine." Then he calls someone and says, "Get the banner ready." There, Seo-ri is with the teacher when, in the middle of the conversation, the teacher tells her, "Many years ago, when we did a show, Rin was also with us in that show." Hearing this, Seo-ri is happy, and then, meeting Rin, says to her, "I have just found out from the teacher that many years ago we did a show together, and now I am happy that I will do a show with you again." Rin says, "But for this, you need to practice very much." Seo-ri says, "I will work very hard for this." Then Seo-ri meets Gong and tells him about Rin. "We had done a show together in childhood." Hearing this, Gong is surprised. Then he remembers the bannerman's words, that when Gong had asked the bannerman to make a banner, he had refused by saying, "You do not have any photo of them, therefore there is no benefit in making a banner." Gong remembers all this and thinks, "I wanted to help you, but I don't understand how to do it." The next day, the maid goes to work at Tae's house where she says to Tae, "Last week I was ill. Therefore, I had sent someone else in my place for the work." Tae says, "It's okay." Then the maid is leaving when the rain starts, so Seo-ri brings an umbrella for her. But before she arrives, Tae gives the maid an umbrella and leaves. When Seo-ri arrives, she says to the maid, "I had brought an umbrella for you." The maid says, "I had come for work at Jin's. He has given me the umbrella." Hearing this, Seo-ri sees Tae leaving from there, but Tae is unable to see her. The next day, Tae is in the hospital when he gets a call from the other hospital who say to him, "You had asked us to find out about that man who used to send money for Seo-ri's treatment every month. We have tried very hard, but we haven't found any information about him. And one more thing, that man has not sent money this month. Perhaps he has found out that Seo-ri is now fine." Tae says, "Fine." There we see a man who is leaving after finishing work when two men working with him are talking. Until yesterday, he needed money. That's why he was working. And now it seems he doesn't need money. That's why he is leaving the work. Then that man goes to a place where he calls a detective and says, "Find out about Seo-ri." There the teacher meets Rin and says, "I know that you do not want Seo-ri to participate in this show. I saw you once in childhood when you were trying to break Seo-ri's violin. Then I thought that was your childishness, but now it seems that you are jealous of Seo-ri. But you do not need to be jealous of Seo-ri. You are now a star. Everyone wants to become like you. Seo-ri also wants to become like you. Therefore, you do not need to be envious of her. You are ahead of her and will always remain ahead. Do you know why I have chosen Seo-ri for this show? Because so much bad has already happened to her. That's why now I want something good to happen to her." After this, Rin is in her office and thinks, "The teacher said that I am a star, and Seo-ri wants to be like me." Then, after a few days, it is Chan's competition in which his full team has to participate. Chan and his friends participate in it and win. Then that same night, there is the festival where Seo-ri is about to play, but her violin string breaks, so she is unable to play. Just then, Rin finds out that a girl's health has deteriorated. So Rin thinks, what should be done now? Just then, her eyes fall on Seo-ri, so she says to Seo-ri, "Perform in that girl's place." So Seo-ri performs in that girl's place and is very happy. Then, after the festival, Seo-ri is sitting at a place when Gong arrives there and asks her, "You were not able to play the violin. Are you sad because of this?" Seo-ri says, "No, I am not sad. I was not playing the violin properly anyway, and I am very happy because of this, that I have at least participated in the show." Hearing her words, Gong is also happy and then confesses his feelings to Seo-ri. "I like you very much." Hearing this, Seo-ri also says to him, "I also like you." After this, both of them kiss each other and are very happy. The next day is Chan's solo competition. Gong and Seo-ri are going to watch his competition when, on the way, Seo-ri goes to get flowers for Chan. Then, Leary is going to Chan and says, "All the best." But just then, she sees Gong there, so she hides her face and leaves from there. Gong meets Chan, so he says all the best to him for the competition. Chan says thank you, and then he asks about Seori, so Gong says she has gone to get flowers for you. Then Chan goes for the competition when Seori arrives there and, giving him flowers, says all the best for the competition. There, the shop from which Seori had taken flowers belongs to Seori's aunt. When her aunt comes to the shop, she finds a diary there. She asks her worker, "Whose diary is this?" The worker says, "The customer who came here just now? Perhaps she left it." The aunt opens the diary and there is a photo of Seori in it. Seeing this, she falls down all at once. Then Chan's competition happens, and he wins in this competition, so seeing this, Seori and Gong are happy. Then when Seori takes out her mobile, she sees that her diary is missing from her purse. Seeing this, she says, "Perhaps my diary has been left in the flower shop." Then she is going to get the diary when Gong says, "You stay. I will go and get it." After he leaves, Chan says to Seori, "This evening, both of us will go for a drive." Seori says, "Fine." There, Gong is going to get the diary. Then, he sees someone collides with Seori's aunt, because of which she falls down. Gong picks her up. Then he sees Seori's diary, so he says, "I was coming to get this only." Just then, Seori is coming there. Seeing her, her aunt immediately leaves from there. Seeing this, Gong is surprised. Then, Gong is going somewhere and thinks, why did Seori's aunt leave like that? There, Seori goes home when Rin's call arrives, who calls her to meet. So, Seori goes to meet her, where Rin says to her, "I am going abroad. The way you feel the music. I love music very much, but I am unable to feel music in that way. Therefore, I am going there to learn this." After this, Rin also says to Seori, "Once in childhood, you won the competition. Since then, I have been jealous of you. I say I am sorry for that." Seori says, "It's okay." Rin says, "In the future, I will never do this, because I have understood that whatever we get by our fate. Therefore, there is no benefit in being jealous." After this, she says, "Bye," and leaves. Then, in the evening, Seori meets Chan, and both of them go for a drive on a bike. There, Gong goes to meet Seori's aunt and says, "You are Seori's aunt, aren't you? Seori has been waiting for you for so long." On this, the aunt says, "I do not know any Seori," and leaves from there. There, Chan and Seori are going when they meet with an accident, in which Chan gets a wound on his foot. Then, everyone is in the hospital where the doctor tells Gong, Chan has not got a lot of wounds, he just has to stay in the hospital for 1 or 2 days. Then, Seori is taking Chan when there Tai, seeing Seori, hugs her and says, "I have been looking for you for so long." Chan sees this, so he immediately separates Tai from Seori and asks, "Who are you?" Just then, Gong also arrives there and asks Tai, "Who are you?" Tai then tells Seori, "I am Tai. I used to study with you in school." Hearing this, Seori recognizes him, so she says to Chan and Gong, "He is my friend." Then both of them are sitting outside and talking, where, in the middle of the conversation, Seori asks Tai, "You liked music, didn't you? Then how have you become a doctor?" Tai says, "I have become a doctor for you, so that I can make you fine." "But you have become fine before that." Seori then says about her uncle and aunt, "I feel like they have left me and gone away." On this, Tae says, "They haven't left you and gone away. They were paying your hospital bill." Seori says, "If it is so, then why haven't they come to meet me?" Tae says, "They had some urgent work, that's why they went abroad." After this, both of them come inside. So Tae says to Gong and Chan, "Seori told me, you people have helped me so much. I say thanks to you for this, and I am admitting Seori for one day." Gong says, "Admit? Why?" Tai says, "Tomorrow we will do some tests on her which will confirm whether she has become perfectly fine or not." Then Tae says, "Now that I have come, Seori will stay with me from today." Gong says, "No, she will stay only with us." Tae says, "She will stay with me." On this, Seori says, "No, I will stay only with them." Hearing this, Tae feels bad, but he doesn't say anything and leaves from there. After this, Tae gets Seori's form filled, and he is about to sign in place of the guardian when Gong comes and signs. Then both of them are outside where, in the middle of talking, they say to each other, "Stay away from Seori." Then the maid arrives there, so Tai asks her, "What are you doing here?" The maid says, "I have come here to meet someone." Then she meets Seori and says to Tai, "This is the lady who came to work at your house that day." Hearing this, Tae says, "That day you had come to my house, but still I could not meet you." Then Tae's friends arrive there, and everyone is joking with each other when Tai arrives there. He sees them joking like this and leaves from there, but Seori sees him leaving like this. Then she meets Tai and says, "I know you are worried about me, but do not worry. I am very happy with these people." Then Seori is sleeping and Gong is sitting near her when Tai arrives there, and he does not feel good seeing these two together. The next day, Seori's checkup happens and her reports come perfectly fine. So knowing this, Seo-ri is very happy. Knowing this, Chan comes there and says, I am so happy for you. Then a doctor friend of Tai arrives there who, in the middle of talking, tells Seo-ri, Sumi died in that accident. Knowing this, Seo-ri goes to Tai and asks him about this, so Tai says, yes, it is true. Sumi has died. Hearing this, Seo-ri is sitting outside and crying. Then Gong arrives there and asks her, what has happened to you? So Seo-ri tells him, I was looking for my friend, but today I found out that she has died long ago. Then Chan is in the room when a nurse arrives there and asks about Seo-ri's guardian. Chan says, I am her guardian. The nurse says, no, you are the nephew of Seo-ri's boyfriend. Hearing this, Chan does not feel good. There, Gong takes Seo-ri to a place where it is written about all the people, as to whose death happened when, and their photos are also there. There, Seo-ri is looking at Sumi's photo and crying. Then, Gong looks at her photo and at the same time remembers Seo-ri's words, so he finds out, the girl whom I like is not Sumi, but Seo-ri. At that time, I had heard the wrong name. Knowing this, he goes to Seo-ri and, hugging her, says, thank you for staying alive. Then when he separates from Seo-ri, Seo-ri asks him, what happened? So Gong says to her, nothing. Come on, let's go. Then Tae goes into Seo-ri's room and looks, but Seo-ri is not there. Seeing this, he calls Seo-ri, so Seo-ri says, my checkup is done. I am perfectly fine. Therefore, I have come home. There, Gong goes to his room and is very sad, thinking, because of me, Seo-ri's accident happened. The next day, Chan comes home. He sees Gong sad and asks, what has happened to you? Gong says, nothing has happened. There, Tai meets the maid and asks her about Gong and the rest. So the maid tells him about everyone, and at the same time she says to Tae, I feel like Gong and Seo-ri like each other. Hearing this, Tai is sad. After that, he is sitting with his doctor friend, so his doctor friend says to him, if Seo-ri likes someone else, then do not come between them and forget Seo-ri. Tai says, you are right. Then Seo-ri goes to the storeroom for some work, so she is surprised to see her painting there. Then she comes inside with the painting and asks Chan about the painting. So Chan says, my uncle has made this painting. He liked this girl. On this, Seo-ri says, this is my painting. Hearing this, Chan feels bad and thinks Gong has been liking Seo-ri since a long time ago. Then Seo-ri is standing on the bridge when Gong arrives there. Seo-ri asks him about the painting. So Gong tells her everything truthfully, and after this, he says sorry to Seo-ri. Because of me, that accident happened to you. Seo-ri says, it is not your fault. Here, Seo-ri tells him, I knew you since a long time ago. Gong says, how? So Seo-ri tells him, once I left my violin at a place and went away. When I remembered, I came back and saw my violin was not there. I felt that my violin was lost. That violin was given to me by my mom. Then I asked someone about the violin, so they told me that a boy found that violin and he went towards the counter with the violin. Then I found out about the violin at the counter, so I got the violin from there and they themselves told me about you. That day, I also went after you to say thanks. But you went far from my eyes and I could not say thanks to you. After that, I saw you from the bridge. Then also I came after you, but you had left from there too. Then I saw you several times and I started liking you. Then when I saw you in the bus on the day of the accident, I had asked for address just to talk to you. That day when you talked to me, I felt very good. Now you do not think that because you told me, I stayed in the bus. I always used to get off at the next stop and go home from right there. That day, I had asked the address just to talk to you. I had to get off only at the next stop, but the accident happened on the way. Therefore, you do not think that whatever happened to me happened because of you. Hearing this, Gong feels relaxed. Then these two kiss each other, and after this, both of them go home happily. Then, at night, Chan and Gong are sitting together where Gong tells the whole matter to Chan. Then, Chan comes into his room and thinks Uncle and Seo-ri like each other. The next day, Chan and Seo-ri go for a stroll together where they enjoy a lot. There, Gong meets someone and says to him, the next concert of yours that is going to happen, I want Seo-ri to play the violin in it. That man says, fine. Hearing this, Gong is happy. There, Chan says to Seo-ri, I like you very much, but I know that you like Uncle and Uncle has also been liking you since childhood. I want you both to remain happy forever. I have told you all this so that I can move on after saying all this. Now there is no matter in my heart, and from now on, we will always remain good friends. Hearing this, Seo-ri starts crying, so Chan says, do not worry about me, I am perfectly fine. After this, he goes forward and, sitting at a place, remembers the old things and then says to himself, no, I have to forget all this and move forward. The next day, Gong and Seo-ri are going to the office. Just then, that man who used to pay Seo-ri's hospital bill arrives there and says to Seo-ri, please forgive me. Seo-ri asks, why are you asking me for forgiveness? Then that man says, the car that caused the bus accident that day? I was driving that car, and that day I was drunk. Because of that, that accident happened. After that accident, I realized that all this happened because of me. Then I went to the hospital to see everyone. Then I saw you there. At that time, you were in a coma, and your uncle and aunt were with you. Then 1 year later, I again went to the hospital for some work. Then I saw you again, and then I also found out that your uncle and aunt have left you and gone away, and there is no one to pay your hospital bill. After that day, I paid your hospital bill and waited for you to regain consciousness so that when you regain consciousness, I can ask you for forgiveness. Then when you regained consciousness, you left the hospital. Since then, I have been looking for you, and today I have found you. Forgive me. A very big mistake has been committed by me. Hearing all this, Seori gets very angry at him, and Gong stops her and says, he has realized his mistake. Forgive him. Hearing this, Seori forgives him. Then at night, Seori and Gong are sitting together when Seori says, don't know where my uncle and aunt have gone. Gong says, do not worry. They will be found very soon. The next day, Chan says to Seori, another competition of mine is going to happen very soon. See, I will win in that too. Hearing this, Seori says all the best to him. Here, everything becomes fine between these two, and they start talking as before. The next day, when Seori and Gong return from the office in the evening, Seori's aunt comes to meet her and says, I have found out that you are looking for us. Therefore, I have come to meet you so that I can tell you about us. 1 year after you went into a coma, your uncle died due to a heart attack, and after his death, we suffered a lot of loss in business, and we also had a lot of debt. At that time, I had no other way besides selling this house. Therefore, I sold this house and paid people's debt, and at that time, I was pregnant and could not even pay the hospital expenses. Therefore, I went far from here, and after going there, started managing my expenses by working. Today, Gong called me and said that you are very worried for us. Therefore, I have come to meet you and told you all this. Hearing the aunt's words, Seori feels very bad. The next day, she goes to her uncle's grave with Gong and cries a lot there. Then, Seori and Gong go to a beach for a stroll and enjoy a lot together. Then at night, Seori also teaches Gong the way to make a rabbit. So Gong says, I feel so happy after making it. Then, Seori meets Tai. So Tai says to her, I want you to stay happy forever with Gong, but if you have any problem in life, then definitely call me. Seori says, fine. Then, after a few days, Chan is doing his packing for college because now he will go to college, so he will stay in the hostel there. There, the maid's contract also finishes, and she says to Gong, I am leaving now, so Gong says, if you want, you can stay here. The maid says, no, I have made a contract with someone else, so now I will go there. Gong says, fine. The next day, Gong and Seori are in a restaurant when Seori says to Gong, now both the maid and Chan are leaving. So how will we stay in that house alone? Come on, let's get married. On this, Gong says, we will not get married right now. First, you complete your study and also start playing the violin well. Then we will get married. Seori says, fine. After this, Chan and the maid leave from there. Then we see a scene 2 years later where everything becomes fine between Seori and her aunt. There, Chan wins another competition, so he is very happy. Then, everyone is in the house and is very happy. Then, Rin returns and she meets Seori, and both are very happy playing the violin together. The next day, the boss tells everyone, we are getting an award for Best Stage Design. Hearing this, everyone says, we are so happy. Then, Gong and Seori are standing while opening the skylight window and are very happy. After this, we see their marriage photo in which these two are very happy with each other. With this happy ending, this drama ends right here.